Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Francesco. As you can guess from my strong accent, I'm Italian. Cannot hide it, unfortunately. I've been living here for 15 years, but still the accent is not going away. Well, anyway, listen, so I'm here to talk about some of my projects, mostly funded by the European Commission, and my experience around engaging and empowering local communities to tackle sustainability issues in urban environments. So, well, look, probably you've seen this slide million of times. It's all about challenges experienced in urban environments. So, you see, in the current years, probably if you look at the reports from the World Health Organization, for the Economic Forum, what they keep on repeating is that population in urban environment is increasing at an alarming rate. It's not just something that is happening worldwide, so in third world countries. It is a problem also in Europe. If you look at the stats, the last time I looked at them, and it's always a pain looking at them because they get more alarming every year. Last time I looked in 2021, 74% of the European population lived in cities, and that is going to raise up to 80% by 2050. If you think about it, it's quite scary because at the end of the day, all this population living in a very confined environment, producing I think around 4% of the land in Europe, producing around 60 to 80% of the CO2 emission. So it means that, well, the core of the challenge is in the cities. And it's not just about population growing, it is also about energy consumption, it is about climate change further aggravating this pressure on the city. It is about energy shortages, problem with food, problem with health. You see the problem with COVID, where we were all stuck in our houses without finding any parks to go to. Well, good news is that apparently, according to experts in the smart city area, well, technology is going to solve all the problems. So we will have an awful lot of algorithms, AI, tools, sensors all over the place, and that is going to provide solution for smart transport, smart economy, smart governance, so on and so forth. So basically, we will have some sort of a control tower, an ICT-enabled control tower that will work as a brain with a lot of a nervous system within the city that is composed by sensors, by algorithms, by AI, and will make all the cities sustainable all of a sudden, okay? But in all this, my question is, where are the people, okay? And, well, as part of this talk today, what I will argue is that, well, citizens need to be at the core of any solutions that is aiming at achieving smart and sustainable cities. This is something also that is kind of, well, let's say, put forward and forth in the European Green Deal and the European Climate Pact, where it said that citizens must have an active role when you're trying to develop solutions in various areas of sustainability, okay? And this means that what I will argue as well is that technology, it's not the solution of all these sustainability challenges. Technology, at the end of the day, is just a tool to enable citizens, to empower them to deliver on these sustainability challenges, to have an impact on sustainability in urban environment. So what I will do today, I will talk about some of my projects, the framework that I'm using to engage with local communities, which is the Living Lab framework. And as I said, I will use some of these projects as an example. So first thing, I'll start from the framework that I'm using in my projects. We are using this Living Lab framework in more than 10 of my ongoing projects funded by the European Commission under the Horizon 2020 Horizon Europe framework. And it is all about having basically local communities at the center. It's a human-centered approach, and it's all about basically empathizing with local communities, seeing their perspective about these sustainability challenges, and then developing solutions with them that are locally attuned. So there is a lot of co-design, not just with local communities, but also with stakeholders. So it's not just about the typical academic in his ivory tower doing something crazy on a computer. It is about working with other stakeholders from local authorities, national authorities, industry, and keep on talking to the local communities, trying to understand barriers and drivers at a local level, co-design solution together, and then pilot them, trial this solution in real life settings. So not experimenting in a lab, in a facility, in the city, in fully functioning cities. It is about testing them in real life settings because you want to understand what are actually the infrastructural barriers and collect the data that could be used for policies or for further replication of this kind of solutions. So the first project that I will talk about is the WeCount project. It was funded, it was run between 2019 and 2021. It's part of the Horizon 2020 framework, the SWAFT, Science with and for Society. And it was, we had, as part of this project, we had several pilots across Europe, all on the team on working with local communities to develop to tackle mobility challenges. So if you look in a local communities, when there is an issue with local mobility, what happens is that local communities get extremely vocal on Twitter, on Facebook, maybe some creative one go on TikTok, but at the end of the day, they don't have anything to substantiate the claims, so there is no evidence of what is happening, the issue happening in the local community in terms of mobility. So what we did as part of this project is that we empowered local communities not only with technology, so with sensors to collect the data, but also with skills and tools to extract the insights of the data, from the data, in order to go to the local authority and say, look, here there is a problem with local mobility, and this is the data that shows that there is a problem. And so, in that way, push the local authority to do something about it. So, basically, what we did is that we embedded in our Living Lab framework a community empowered framework, which is based on 5 steps. So first, we went to each local community, talked to them, see what was their perspective about the challenges related to local mobility in their area. Was it about safety around schools? Was it about car speedings? Just to understand, empathize with the local community, understand their perspective. Then we started to discuss with them what would be the best way to collect the data, to provide evidence about the local issue. Then we gave them the sensors. I'll show you the sensor in the next slide. And we provide them with tools to analyze the data themselves, even if they had no technical skills, in the hope that as a last step, as a legacy of the project, they would put together some sort of a policy brief, go to the local authority and show them a little report and say, look, there is an issue, do something about it. So those are the sensors that we used. The one on the right is a traffic counter. It's a camera-based sensor. It's able to count cars, pedestrians, bicycles, and heavy vehicles. It needs to be installed at a window overlooking the road to be monitored. And the one on the right is an air quality sensor that measures PM 1, 2.5, and 10. So those are the sensors that we gave to the local communities. What happened is that at the initial stage, we were supposed, what we said in the proposal is that we were going to work only with local communities in Ringsend, in a very confined area in Dublin. But all of a sudden, who doesn't have an issue with traffic? So it went completely viral. Thanks also to the support from the EPA, we managed to deploy sensors, to give traffic sensors to local communities all over the country. You can see an awful lot of sensors in the Great Dublin area, but also in Kilkenny, Limerick, in Wicklow, and if I remember correctly, we had also some in Cork. So we sent the sensors to the local communities and engaged them in the activities in the framework that I mentioned before. As I said, it was not, I mean, all this project was not just an academic exercise to collect the data and write some fancy papers. It was all about getting local communities, empowering local communities with technology, but also with tools to be themselves the first users of the data they produced. So we produce some analytical tools and hands-on analytical tools on Google Sandbox, which enable local communities to extract further insights, not just counts, vehicle counts from the sensors, but also statistics like when was the speeding happening in the different time of the days, different time of the weeks, seeing the percentage of cars, vehicles for different sections of the day and the week, but also compare their area with other areas. And then that enable local communities. We had a lot of, let's call success stories of local communities around the country presenting this data to the local authority and get some traffic calming measures implemented in the local area. So that was, for me, a way that actually technology and these tools can empower local community to address a sustainability issue locally. So that project, as I said, finished in 2019. Now we are moving forward. We are continuing this project as part of another European project, again, Horizon 2020 framework. This project is called iChange. In Dublin, as I said, we are learning from the lesson of week count. When we talk to local communities, we found that, well, 90% of these local communities, their issue related to traffic were around schools. So safety around schools, high volumes of traffic or speeding around schools, all around schools. So we decided that as part of iChange, we would focus on schools ourselves and develop stronger initiatives, also focusing on behavior around schools. So we partnered with other initiatives and started developing, well, some new ideas, like the bike library that I explain further soon. So we started, as I said, we partnered with other initiatives, like the Academy of the Near Future, the Safe Route to School, and developed a series of workshops for these schools. The focus was not just to install sensors in the schools, but actually to empower the children with the feeling that they are actually part of the solution. Okay, so we are starting actually now in the schools, going there, visiting them, talking about air pollution, talking about traffic, and installing the sensors that I showed before in the schools. In the next stage, we'll go back and show them how traffic and air pollution are actually linked. So there is a connection. So, but we don't want them to feel passive about it. So what we will do, we will focus on enabling them to develop solutions for the problem at a local level for their school. Okay, so they will ask them to put forward ideas that could be related to local mobilities, nature-based solution as a porous filter for traffic and traffic-related pollution, and so on and so forth. And then we'll go back in March again to finalize this solution with them and see how to move forward. This is another project that we are launching in school. It's called the Bike Library, and it emerged from the fact, it's linked to the iChange project. It's basically a parallel project, and it is all about, I mean, I don't know if probably you've seen around the city plenty of bike sharing schemes, smart mobility hubs, any sort of this stuff, but these services generally cater for commuters or single people or tourists going around the city. If you have a family, if you are with kids like me, you either walk or you use the car, because I challenge any of you to go on a train or on a bus with a 3-year-old son, okay? So there's no way to move around. So what we decided to do is to offer a sharing mobility scheme also to families. And that's the Bike Library. It works like a traditional library. Instead of borrowing books for a long term, you borrow different bikes. You try them, get a feeling out of them, use an e-cargo, use an e-bike, connect a trailer. And it is all about basically removing that heavy traffic that you see every time the schools open up. And all of a sudden disappears during the summer or at Christmas holidays, okay? It is all about trying to remove that fraction of a big fraction of emission from the city. So it's about getting the parents to bring the kids to school, but it's also about getting this active mobility culture within the kids firsthand, okay? And this has been very successful. We kickstarted this on the 26th of September. It's been well picked up by the news. And already, as soon as we kickstarted, it's funny enough, when you start to work with children and local communities, it picks a lot of the attention of the media, the national bodies. So we got a lot of support from the NTA, the Department of Transport, a lot of conversation ongoing, and that's where this tax incentive for e-cargo bike is coming from. And it's specific because my first issue was that, okay, I'll put a lot of work in this bike library, we scale it up in 20 other schools, but then what? What is going to happen afterwards? When I take away the bikes, what are these people going to do? Nobody is willing to pay 5,000 euros for an e-cargo bike, and that's where this is coming. So they were very prompt, deployed straight away an incentive to support the scheme. So now we are in conversation with the NTA, Department of Transport, and hopefully we'll have a replication in other schools very soon. So just to close, because I'm running out of time, you know, I'm an academic, I can stay here talking for hours, but the time has no mercy, so I have to finish. So there is a power in working with local communities. So it's not just about piloting real-life settings, but it is also about making them part of the solution. So have them an active role in the solution, empowering them in understanding that there is a problem, but they can also solve it. And that has a very strong behavioral change impact. It is about using technology not as a solution itself. It's just a tool at the end of the day. Sensors are great, but without the citizens using the data, it becomes just another academic exercise. And it is all about working with a lot of people, a lot of stakeholders, get a lot of perspectives, get a lot of inputs, and also, well, useful for the scale up and for the replication. So with this, I'll close it, and I'll take the questions. Thank you.